Welcome to the California High School Math Exit Exam part of www.happynumbers.org. Today's lesson is going to deal with the strand, the number sense strand. There's a whole strand of questions that have to do with number sense. And today's particular lesson will be calculating the percent of change. And I'll show you just exactly what that means. We'll take a look at a problem right away. Changes in percent deal with figuring out how a value changes by percent and not by the amount of money or the amount of anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. Let's look at an example problem. The cost of an afternoon movie ticket last year was $4. This year, an afternoon movie ticket costs $5. What is the percent increase of the ticket from last year to this year? Now, notice they are not asking us how much more money the ticket costs, because that would be obvious. It cost $4 last year, $5 this year, so it would be $1 increase. But they're not asking that. They want to know what is the percent of increase. What is the percent of increase? And here's how you work this problem. To figure out the percent of change, whether it's an increase or a decrease, in this instance, the problem is asking what is the percent of increase. But whether it's percent of increase or decrease, to figure out the percent change, you take the difference between the two values. So we have the difference between 5 and 4, and you divide it by the starting value. Well, here we would have the difference between the two values would be 5 minus 4 divided by the starting value. Well, the starting value was 4. So we would say 5 minus 4 equals 1, and the starting value is 4. So to get the difference in change, we would divide 1 by 4. Remember, in a fraction, this is a division line. This fraction means 1 divided by 4. And 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. And if we change the decimal 25 hundredths, that's what this decimal is. If we change the decimal 25 hundredths to a percent, it's 25%. And by the way, two prerequisite skills you need to know to be able to do this percent change. You need to know how to change a fraction to a decimal and how to change a decimal to a percent. If you're not clear on how to do that, if you go to www.happynumbers.org and you go to video events and scroll down to fractions, there'll be a video on changing fractions to decimals. And if you scroll down to decimals, there'll be a video on changing decimals to percents. You should look at those videos if you're not clear on this concept, and then come back to this video. Okay, so let's review. To get a percent change, we take the difference between the two values. In this case, it was $5 and $4. And then we divide that by the starting value. So 5 minus $4 is $1. The starting value is $4. So we divide 1 by 4. We get 25 hundredths, the decimal 25 hundredths. And when we change 25 hundredths to a percent, we get 25%. By the way, if you're not clear on the long division, if we're going to divide 4 into 1, well, we can't divide 4 into 1, so we'll put a decimal point and then a couple of zeros as placeholders. So 4 goes into 1. Well, 4 can't go into 1. It goes 0 times. But we can say 4 goes into 10. 4 goes into 10 2 times. And then we multiply. We always multiply by the number we just put up here. 2 times 4 is 8. Then we subtract. And 10 take away 8 gives us 2. Then we bring down this 0. And then we divide again. 4 into 20. 4 goes into 20 5 times. Now we multiply 5 times 4 is 20. We subtract and we get 0. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. Again, we're looking for the changes in percent. Changes in percent. Over a period of 1 week, Casca, and by the way, let me review this. They'll have all kinds of names there. Don't pay any attention to the name. Don't get stuck up on the name. I substitute your own name. Over a period of 1 week, Mr. Johnson was able to improve his score on 18 holes of golf from 120 strokes to 96 strokes. By what percent did he improve his score? Okay, how do we do it? The percent change is the difference between the two scores. So we're going to have the difference between 120 and 96 divided by the starting score, which was 120. So we have 120 minus 96, that gives us 24, divided by the starting score, which was 120. So we divide 24 by 120 and we get 20%. Actually, we'll get 0.20 and then we change 0.20 into a percent. And here's the long division. 120 cannot go into 24, so it goes 0. But 120 can go into 240. It can go 2 times, and then we multiply 2 times 120. That gives us 240. We subtract. We get all zeros. We bring down the 0. And we divide now 120 into 0. Well, obviously that's going to give us 0. Then we multiply 0 times 120. That's going to give us 0. And then we subtract and we get 0. So when we divide 24 by 120, we get 0.20 or 20 hundredths. And then when we change 20 hundredths to a percent, we get 20%. Again, to get the percent change, you take the difference between the two values divided by the starting value. Okay? Okay, here's an example. At 8 a.m., Marley's rain gauge read 0.4 inches of rain. By 1 p.m., it read 0.5 or 5/10 inches of rain. What was the percent of increase in rain? Again, how do we do it? The difference between the two values, so we have 5/10, 0.5, minus 4/10, 0.4, divided by the starting value. The starting value was 0.4 inches of rain, or 4/10. So we have 5/10, or 0.5, minus 4/10, or 0.4, gives us 1/10, 0.1, divided by 0.4. And 1/10 divided by 4/10, or 0.1 divided by 0.1, is equal to 25 hundredths, or 0.25, which is 25%. And here's how the long division looks. We moved the decimal point. When you divide, we moved the decimal point from here, one place to the right, so that we get rid of the decimal point in our divisor, and therefore we move the decimal point from here one place to the right. Whoops. My bad. Let me go back to that problem. I'm sorry. Okay. How do we do it? Now, here. We have a decimal point in our divisor, so we're going to move it one place to the right so we can get rid of it. And if we do that, we're dividing by 0.1, so we're going to move the decimal point here from here to here also. So now our decimal point is up here. 4 goes into 1. Well, we can't divide 4 into 1, so it goes 0. But we can divide 4 into 10. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. We subtract. We get 2. We bring down the 0. We have 20. Now we have 4 divided into 20. 4 goes into 20 5 times, and 5 times 4 is 20. We subtract and we get 0. So when we divide 1.1 or 1/10 by 4/10 or 0.4, we get 25 hundredths. 25 hundredths. And when we change 25 hundredths to a percent, we get 25%. Now, if you're not clear on division of decimals, there is a video under video events. Go to happynumbers.org and go to video events and go down to decimals, and you'll see a video on division of decimals. So you should know how to do this kind of a problem. Okay, I think this is the last one. Maybe it's next to the last one. Last year, Rhonda paid $200 to have her piano moved to storage. This year, the cost of moving it from storage to her new home will cost $230. What is the percent of increase in cost? What is the percent of increase in cost? So I'm going to let you work this one. So put the DVD or the video or however you're watching this on pause. Work the problem, then turn it back on and we'll go over the answer. So go ahead and put it on pause. Okay, let's see how we do it. Again, percent change is equal to the difference between the two values. In this case, our values were 230 and 200. So the difference between 230 and 200 divided by the starting value, and the starting value here was 200. So we have then the difference between 230. 230 take away 200 gives me 30. 30 divided by 200 would be 30 divided by 200 gives me 15 hundredths or 0.15, which is 15%. And this is what the long division looks like. I can't divide 200 into 30, so I put point and a couple of zeros here. I can divide 200 into 300. So I put my decimal point right up here. 200 goes into 300 one time. 1 times 200 is 200. I subtract and I get 100. Then I bring down my 0 and I have 1,000. 200 goes into 1,000. 5 times 200 is 1,000, and that gives me 0. Excellent. Again, you're going to have to know the skill of long division. You're going to have to know the skill of long division, and you're going to have to know the skill of division of decimals. And both of those are videos on the happynumbers.org under video events. One more problem for you. Fran's car insurance decreased from $380 to $304. What was the percent of decrease? Again, put your video or DVD on pause. Try and work this problem. Turn it back on and then we'll take a look at the answer. So go ahead and put it on pause. Okay, here's how we do it. The percent change is equal to the difference between the two values. So we have 380 and 304, the difference between those two, divided by the first value, and in this case the first value was 380. So we have 380 minus 304 gives us 76. 76 divided by the first value, which was 380. 76 divided by, whoops, this is supposed to be 380, my bad. Let's get the problem up again. This is supposed to be 380. So that's a mistake on my part. 76 divided by 380 is 20 hundredths or 0.20, which is 20%. And let's take a look at the long division. So we have 76 and 380 cannot go into 76, so I have to put a decimal and then several zeros, and I put my decimal up in my answer. 380 can go into 760 two times. 2 times 380 gives me 760. When I subtract, I get 0. Then I bring down this 0. 380 goes into 0. 0 times 380 is 0. And then when I subtract, I get 0. Excellent. Excellent. Well, okay, that's how you calculate a percent of change. You take the difference between the two numbers and you divide that by the starting number. You divide that by the starting number. And when you divide that by the starting number, you'll get a decimal as an answer, and then you convert the decimal to a percent. Again, you will need to know the skills of how to do long division. You will need to know the skills of how to turn a fraction into a decimal, and you will need to know how to do long division with decimal numbers. And all three of those videos are on the video events page of happynumbers.org. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next time.